This week's episode of All Wings Considered is brought to you by Optic Nerves. The eyes have it. Optic nerves are available everywhere enhanced human organs are sold. Now, here's Ben and me.
Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of All Wings Considered, the only weekly YouTube show where we talk about Wing Commander for several hours. I am, as always, your host, Ben Loaf-Lesnick, and I am joined by my wife, Allie.
Oh no. Hello. I'm back again.
Our usual co-host, Jason, is off at boat school this week, so Allie's back! Hooray!
Hooray.
Yeah, so we've got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be visiting the Ariel system in Wing Commander 3, playing the next 3 missions of the PC version of the game. We do a little Righteous Fire. We will get a couple more gauntlet scores for the kill board, try to further embarrass Jason. And then at the end, we've got Book Club, the chapter 17 through 19 of Heart of the Tiger. And anybody out there is welcome to join in on Discord Voice. So we've got a channel set up for that. And we'll be talking all sorts of crazy details about the Wing Commander 3 novelization, as one is off to do. But before we start, how's your week going?
It's been alright. How about yours?
Yeah, all right. You saw the movie The Lighthouse.
I did see the movie The
New
Lighthouse.
from Sony Pictures.
From Sony Pictures.
I did. I just wanted to sound like it was a sponsorship.
It was a very bleak and desolate and weird movie, but I enjoyed it. You also saw the movie The Lighthouse.
I did. I enjoyed the movie The Lighthouse. No, fine week. Got some Wikipedia stuff done. Got some real work done. Built a lot of Legos. Getting ready for the grand reveal of our monorail setup this Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you have a whole plan.
You have a
whole plan for this new monorail.
It's getting more elaborate by the day.
Yeah, there's like tickets involved now.
There's tickets. There's a spaceship. There's that lands. It's gone from having one table to like 4 tables that go from one thing to another. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But you guys will all see that once it's done.
And the current monorail is already impressive.
It's pretty cool already.
Yeah.
It's going to be even cooler.
It's lucky that we have a gigantic empty counter space in our basement that perfectly fits the current monorail.
Well, we're also doing a diet this week, which is making my brain a little bit hazy.
Yeah, because you just
I just zoned out right there. Yeah.
Wow, that was amazing.
No, we're low carbing, and my brain, we're good now. But it works really well. We've lost chunks of Ben Chubb.
Yeah, we're in the losing water weight phase,
yeah,
so that's exciting because you have to pee every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. So look forward to that later in the show.
TMI for everyone.
Well, we've got a bunch of gameplay this week, not so much slideshow stuff, but I do have a couple of things I wanted to follow up on after last week. So with that, let's go over to the slideshow viewer. Whoosh, Afterburner slideshow. Whoosh, whoosh.
Oh, was I supposed to do sounds?
Yeah, you do a whoosh.
Oh, sorry.
You can do it now if you want.
Whoosh.
All right. Here we are at the Afterburner slideshow. The big thing I wanted to follow up last week was something that Jason pointed out that we totally forgot when we were doing the Secret Gore and Wing Commander for Halloween, which is the skeletons. Ooh. And here's the skeleton here. This very slight 3D model of a skeleton appears in Wing Commander 4. There's a mission early in the game, I think it's in the Helipon series, where you come across a destroyed Confederation medical transport that has been burnt out by the flashpack, and to reinforce the idea that it has been burned from within by this terrible weapon that's, I guess, even more terrible than normally exploding in a spaceship, it's surrounded by these little headless skeletons, and you get a quick look at them. So add that one to our catalog of Secret Gore in the Wing Commander universe.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and I don't know why they don't have heads or
it doesn't have
maybe?
Feet. It's like missing its legs from its like mid-calf down.
Just the center part of a skeleton. The head incinerated.
Missing one part of an arm.
And the other thing I wanted to share... I have two other things I wanted to share.
Are they skeletons?
No, they're not as exciting as a skeleton. One is... that's the wrong button. That's where my brain is right now. Goodbye, skeleton. One is from the regular Wing Commander news. This is something AD found, which has been floating around on the web forever, but he took it upon himself to figure out the actual story. This is box art that it showed up on storefronts and artists' pages before, saying it's the box art for the Wing Commander customizable card game, and it's not. The Wing Commander customizable card game comes in little black boxes with a faction logo on it. So AD finally tracked down the person who was showing this in their online portfolio and figured out what the deal was. And the deal was that this was a product that had been intended to follow up the original release of the Wing Commander card game. It would have been a 2-player gift set, so you would have like a full game in this box. Those were big in the mid-90s. There was a Star Wars one where you got like crummy versions of all the main character cards so that people who didn't understand customizable card games could do that. But it never made it out. This was after the rights to the game had been sold to Thunder Castle Games, and Mag Force 7 broke up. They were going to put out a new edition of the game, and it just didn't happen, unfortunately. But it's a pretty cool box art. That's the promo art that was developed for the Blair promo card when they initially did the CCG, so it was adopted for this cool box. And the other thing is this funny little reference I found. I was digging through the Wing Commander 3 3DO, the guts of it, using the cheat feature. It has a very full-featured debug menu you can access in the game. We can show that in a future show. But it lets you play any of the movies or jump to any mission or look at any of the textures in the game, which is neat because what I'm doing is I was going through the game. I was comparing the various missions we've flown to the Wing Commander Authorized Combat, the Wing Commander Authorized Combat Guide, and noticing that none of them match. So I want to do proper mission layouts for all the 3DO versions of the missions, and maybe we can re-import them or something. But as I was digging around, I found this list of the texture files, learning that the textures for the Confederation Space Station, the black main base we saw last week, are called Babylon 6. So that was a funny joke. Some developer put that in the guts of the game and never thought it would be seen ever. And there it is. There's no other jokes in those textures. They're all just whatever the ship is. Babylon 6 is the Confederation Space Station.
Cool.
Thank you. How's everybody out there today? Well, we've got Righteous Fire later, so we can chat with folks. But I thought that before we jump ahead and play some of our game stories, we would try to set a couple more. We could each try to set another gauntlet score.
Sure.
All right.
Mine was very sad last week.
What was your first time? One of your first
times? I don't
times?
think it was my first time, but thank you for being so kind.
Well, I mean, you don't play regularly.
No, I don't play regularly.
You're still at that point where you do.
I play like twice a year, and every time I'm like, how do I do this? And then I kind of remember and...
All right. Well, I am going to... Let me figure out what the best way to do this. Start up the game first. It's hidden somewhere. Sorry for the slow brain
Got
tonight.
a lot of icons going on there.
I do have a lot of icons. Normally I clean up my icons, but I was working all day and just didn't have time for the usual icon cleanup. Am I the only person who does that, who just puts everything he's working on the desktop and then deletes it at the end of every couple days? Or is that... I don't know.
I do that.
Okay.
I kind of do a different variation of that. I see there's like your wizard hair from last week all over the keyboard.
There is wizard hair everywhere. There's a whole stack of it over there.
Yeah, the wizard hair was on the floor over here, and it's kind of disturbing.
Alright. So, I am starting up Wing Commander Academy. Put on this screen here so we can change our seats.
Cool.
This is the key art for Wing Commander Academy. We should switch seats while that's on screen.
Alright.
I figured you'd go first.
That's fine.
It's more exciting than my playing. Please sit down.
Thank you.
Now hit the little eye next to that top cover screen. Okay.
Cover image?
Yep.
Hey.
And then over here, go down to the next one, which is...
Privateer Dealer Overlay?
No, it's the... this other list here. Go down to the gameplay one.
Academy Gameplay?
Academy Gameplay. And then click that icon down at the bottom that's lit up. In the menu bar in Windows.
Okay.
And hit Control-Enter, so it goes full screen. Or the other one, whichever one I did.
Alt-Enter?
Yeah, there we go.
Hey.
There we go.
I'm controlling the show.
You're now in charge of the show. The interesting thing about that Wing Commander Academy key art, which if you look closely at, it's a total lie. There's no Drolthy in the game, and you see that and you're like, oh man, a new Drolthy, it looks totally different. It's not a thing that's in the game at all.
Alright, what do I do here?
Alright, so you want to choose your ship, just like last time. Click on Pilot Ship.
Okay. Now, I think Arugula Tarsus suggested I use the broadsword.
I think the broadsword might be right for you, because
Right.
you probably don't afterburner anyway. So it might be a good one.
Excuse you! You don't know how I afterburner.
I played the original Wing Commander without afterburning.
Alright, I'm gonna go with that.
Alright, hit select.
I did.
Alright. Oh, I'm looking through. I'm doing that thing Jason always does.
Oh,
Okay.
do I have to do anything else?
So just hit Gauntlet to start the Gauntlet.
Okay.
And you can use the joystick there.
Press Gauntlet to Gauntlet. Got it.
This is the Broadsword Bomber. It's a big, well-defended ship. It doesn't do speed stuff at all, but it does have a whole lot of weapons, and it can take a lot of hits.
Why is it taking me so long to find this ship?
That I'm not sure. It does
There we
maneuver
go.
more slowly than...
It does. It's noticeably more... Oh. Okay. That's easier to use. Why didn't anybody suggest this to me before?
Well, you learn. You live, you learn. Hello! I see someone said hello from Slovakia. Hello! There's all sorts of folks chatting. I can
Look,
barely
now
see.
I'm really good at this.
Nice. Maybe the
I
broadsword
mean, not
is...
really good, but...
Maybe the broadsword is the ship for you. It's what Angel flies in Commander 2. Doro44 said hello from Slovakia. Hello, Doro44.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I can never really see the comments very well, so it's I usually rely on Dunderdoll to relay them for me, and sometimes he's not good at that. Chris Reed says, man, the MT32 music is amazing. Yes, it is. This is using the Munt emulator to play MT32 MIDI, and it is really good. It's such a change from the bass Sound Blaster or Ad-Lib sounds.
Is it different music or just sounds better?
It sounds better. There was fancy hardware you could buy back in the day. It was like a separate MIDI player that had all these fancy. Basically, what a MIDI file is like a list of what instrument sounds to make.
Right.
And so, if you had a Sound Blaster sound card, it tried to emulate those sounds. or you could have an actual like professional mixing, professional musician quality piece of technology that had these high quality samples, which is how they would compose the music. And the games would give you this option to, if you have a fancy MIDI synthesizer, you can use it.
Why can't I find this? Oh my god. I just feel like I'm like pulling back forever. Oh god.
Let's see. Someone said, looks like the Super Wing Commander model Dorothy. It is the Super Wing Commander model Dorothy, but that design for Dorothy was actually created for Privateer, so that's where they based it from on the Academy box.
What am I like going the wrong way?
Where is it? I can't see from
now
here.
It's down at the bottom. No, now I'm heading toward it again. Mm-hmm. I think. Who knows? I keep getting hit, I can tell you that.
Yeah, but you're not taking... Oh, he's in your rear right now.
Yeah, how do I... Oh, there's another one? What's the yellow? Oh.
Yellow's a missile, that is fine. You have missiles yourself, too. Oh, one of your gunners got him.
Cool, I didn't even have to do anything. I just had to fuck around for several minutes, and someone else did the work for me.
And in fact, I think that will count towards your score. Your ship has 3 gunner positions to the rear and then to each side.
Okay.
To fire for you. If you want to fire himself, you can hit F2, F3, F4 to jump to them.
Look, let's not overcomplicate this for me here.
I see this as like you slowly learning to fly over the course of many episodes.
I used to not be able to fly in Wing Commander at all. I thought it was really complicated. And then, like, one day it clicked for me how to use the joystick. So now I understand that, the basics of that. Mm-hmm. But
it's slow going.
It's hard learning. It really is. It's not an easy game to learn. Like here, why?
Let's see, where is he?
He's all the way down here.
Yeah, that's like behind and to the side.
So I should be pulling back?
Well, try different directions and see how it reacts.
Like, because here it seems like I should be moving toward him. Oh, gosh. Now he's not even on there.
No, you kind of got him again.
Cool. What a great ship this is.
Tarsus says you're doing great.
Thank you. I'm not doing much of anything at all, but I appreciate that.
Dorothy just locking your target with L when you see them.
Right.
That way you can fire missiles at them if you
Now,
want.
again, I feel recall last week I asked you if I should be locking, and you and Jason were like, no! And then, like, later you were like, you should be locking. So...
Well, it's like when you learn to drive a car, and, like, first you're like, do I have to worry about hitting people? And you're like, no, you're fine.
Okay.
And then later it's like, yes, absolutely, you should worry about hitting people.
Look, they just keep getting this guy for me. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, that won't work forever, but
okay.
We'll get you a little bit in.
Okay.
But you do have missiles. See, they're FF missiles, which are stands for friend or foe, but also fire and forget.
Uh-huh.
So if you ever want to drop a missile, you can just hit enter, and one of them will fire. You've got 4 of them.
What, so I should just hit enter now?
Yeah, at any time. You got that one, though.
Yeah.
That was good.
Thank you.
These are the ones that kept beating Jason during the holiday live stream, too. And that little reticle ahead of him will show you where to shoot.
I feel like that should have counted. Uh-oh.
These are Jalki heavy fighters. These are kind of the Karathi version of the Saber that Jason was flying last time. You got him!
Yay.
You got both of those yourself. No turrets for those guys. And now your missiles have recharged. You go for reloaded, not recharged. They don't grow back. This guy here is the Karathi version of the ship you're flying. Well, you got one.
Yeah, look, I kind of know what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm. You're in there.
You're like, yeah, don't get too ahead of yourself.
No, I believe in you.
I don't hear you talk to Jason like that.
I don't believe in him.
Where the heck are you, buddy?
It's to your left. Now pull up. There you go. So, everybody out there in chat world, for this brief period where I can see what people are saying, how you doing? What are you up to? Got that Rick ass? You did, right?
Wife.
Oh, these are cloak fighters. They will disappear suddenly, but also they're really easy to kill when you hit them.
Like that?
Yeah, like that. So they appear in and out.
Yeah, I see.
But they're still there when they disappear. You just
I
can't
think
see
my
them.
gunner must have got that
Oh yeah,
second one.
that was a fast one.
Shout out to my gunner. I mean, why wouldn't I just use lock all the time?
I think we were probably just trying to make it not too confusing when you were starting out.
Right, but is there
will not survive this fight.
Oh jeez, is there a disadvantage? Uh-oh, I'm really getting hit.
No, there's no disadvantage.
I'm really getting pummeled here. How do I drop something?
Enter.
I mean, I don't know if that did anything, but I'm getting flavor blasted.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom left screen, you can see what missiles you have and what's armed.
Oh,
and
I
what's fired.
see.
So you fired one already.
Well, I'm gonna fire another one because
It helps to be facing them, but you don't have to with an FF missile.
look, just trying to get something out there.
These guys are tough because they're human ships rather than Karathi, so they're balanced for they're balanced to be much tougher. In fact, was this where Jason died last week? I think it might be. Or no, he made it to the broadswords, maybe. I don't know.
I made it much further than I did last week, so
Definitely, I think you should have a pretty good score this week, comparatively. Jojo's is working on a paper, doing a few hours. Gorf is bringing in his yard furniture because winter's coming.
Oh yeah?
Do we have to do that? Do we have yard furniture?
No, we don't have any furniture that needs to come in. We do need to get a cover for our grill, though.
Alright.
Because winter is coming. I saw it's supposed to maybe snow next week.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like fall just like showed up all of a sudden and
We had a really
is
obnoxious October
like kicking
here.
our butt. Yeah, we did. We didn't really get like a real fall with nice temperatures. Like it's suddenly like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
I will kill you,
Oh,
human.
jeez. He said he's gonna kill me? Human?
Those voices were like amazing when I first got a computer that could play them. When I first played Wing Commander 1 and 2, I had a 286 that did not have a sound card. And I convinced my parents to let me get a Gateway 2000 486 in 1994, 93, 94. And it was amazing. My dad would bring his friends over and they would play Privateer, so you could hear the talking in the intro. It was just, it seems so simple now, and you know, I this frame of me is more data than this game entails, but it was just incredible at the time.
Like, how do I see this guy's on the very edge, but how the hell do I get to him?
Let's see. Well, if it's on the edge, it means he's behind you in some way.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, you got him!
Nice.
3 ferrets down, very impressive.
Broadsword was the right choice.
Mm-hmm. Well, someday you can try the crossbow too. That's similar to broadsword. It only has 1 turret, but it has like it has 5 guns instead of 3 in the front. one wraith in this wave.
Oh, jeez.
Your shields are down because you got hit with a leech missile, but they'll recharge.
Ah! Oh god, he's gonna kill me, isn't he?
Hmm?
Why can't I get to him?
Try pulling left or right.
Oh my god, this is bad. The music is getting really intense.
That's one of the great things about MIDI. You know, with newer games,
Okay,
they would switch
where
to
are you?
Redbook CD tracks that would just play like a track of a CD. But with MIDI, you could have this music that reacts to what you're doing. And so what they do for a game like this is they would compose 30 or 40 different little things that react to what's happening in the game. So you get hit with a missile, it segs into the missile damage one.
How do I find him?
He's to your right.
Yeah, I've been pulling to my right.
He's just more maneuverable than you.
Yeah, he's like, I can't catch up to him, and I think, okay.
Oh, your turret got him.
Alright, well. Relief. That music's really cool, though.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Oops, I accidentally...
By a guy named the Fat Man. In fact, if you remember when we went to that antique mall to
Yes.
with your parents to get the Wing Commander Academy paintings somebody discovered, he was the one who found those.
How do I afterburner?
No, you have no afterburners.
Oh, so I can't like move forward if he's out of range.
You're constantly moving forward.
Okay.
And you can press plus and minus to increase and decrease your speed somewhat. But you can't get, in a broadsword, you can't get that jolt of speed that comes with afterburners.
I see. Somebody else got him, I guess.
Yep, what are your turrets? Looks 16,055. You actually come getting very close to Donadol's score.
Nice.
He had 18,000 something. Ooh, this is a tough wave, though. This is the wave that he killed him last time.
Not much of a challenge, are you?
Rude.
The taunts, in addition to just being cool, have a gameplay purpose, which is that you can taunt enemies to have them get distracted and attack you, or change their behavior, especially if you're defending another ship and it's being attacked by a bunch of Karathi. You can taunt them to distract them, so they come after you instead. I'm doing really well. Well, I think I know a thing or two about escorting a Relari, sir. This is the game that Jonathan Taylor Thomas plays in the movie Man of the House. So take that, Chevy Chase.
Cool. JTT. Whatever happened to JTT?
What I think all the Home Improvement Boys kind of
Yeah, they all kind of disappeared.
Oh,
Ah!
you did really well though. See what your final score is.
Gotta write it on the board.
17,480. Pretty good. But you're not.
Let me get rid of this call sign here. Should we write this on the board?
Yeah, we should write it on the board.
If you give me the board, I'll do it right now.
I'll do it after we I'm just switch.
All right, we'll remember it,
Yeah.
or it'll show up again.
Yeah, it'll be on the cover.
Okay, that's much better than my what was I 5,000?
Yeah, you were like 1,700 last time.
Okay, cool.
So you
Yay!
got like times 10.
All right, that was fun.
All right.
All right, now
hit enter.
Okay.
And then hit Alt X.
Alt X.
And then go back to that previous screen, like last time, the Afterburner slideshow one.
Afterburner slideshow. Wait, where?
There.
Small talk?
No,
slideshow viewer.
And then hit that top button again. There we go.
Okay.
Now we can switch. There was some debate of whether or not we'd wear pants, so we figured.
Well, no, we're wearing pants. Jeez, don't say it like that. You're wearing pajama pants.
I'm always wearing pajama pants. It's the wonderful thing about working from home.
All right.
All right. Back in position. I move your camera down. You might want to move it up.
Oh, okay.
Or tilt, or whatever. All right. Well, I will also take a shot at this. I am not feeling super confident about my abilities tonight, but can't hurt. Speaking of music, the game includes 2 types of music files, one set for ad-lib and one set for MIDI players, with different syslexes depending on what device you're using. So I would love to figure out how to extract the ad-lib. I never had an ad-lib sound card. I know it will not sound as good, but it'll be interesting to see how it's different. I'm going to go with my trusty ferret for this one. This is my ride or die gauntlet ship. Did I just hit the wrong thing? I think I did. Yes, I started a mission instead of the gauntlet.
Uh-oh.
But that's that. And there we go. Yeah, 17,480. You want to put it on the board?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the gauntlet now.
Yeah, that wasn't too far behind where Dunderdoll was last week.
No.
Now, would we keep the old scores on here?
No, replace it.
Well, I didn't come prepared to erase the chalk marker. Although it does just seem to wipe right off. I'll use the inside of my shirt to erase it. Except now you have to tell me the score again. Do you remember it?
What?
Do you remember the score?
No, but I'll get it after this.
Alright.
Already took a bad hit.
You did?
Yeah.
Ooh.
But that Drockery went down fast. Not a Drolthy.
I'm gonna put a 0 for Dunderdoll because he's not here this week.
You can keep his old score.
No, I already erased it.
Oh, okay.
Big ol' 0.
So we're gonna do this every week? Is that
I don't know.
fine with
This is
me?
your show, not mine.
I never wanted a show.
Where's this damn billboard? No, I'm sorry, what are you flying?
A ferret.
A ferret.
The ferret is the most basic ship from Wing Commander 2. It doesn't have missiles. It doesn't have target ITTS lock or anything. It's just basically a flying engine with a couple of mass driver cannons. So it's very simple to fly, but I just find it much more fun to fly this fast, light ship. And you get the most points for flying it, so...
The most points.
So the lore, I've been working on the Wikipedia entries for Academy this week, some of the in-lore stuff, and the background they come up with for why you're doing the simulator is great. The manual has this whole story about how the guy Jack Lombard was a fighter pilot who was flying with an unreliable wingman. He was shot down and badly injured and could never fly again, and he got put in charge of the simulator at the academy. So he's updating it to make it more realistic, like in actual combat, and you're testing it out. And he has all these little notes in the thing about how his brother died in the war, and there's all these little bits of lore that's very enjoyable. But that's what the Wing Commander Academy is. It's the simulator at the Terran Confederation Space Forces or Naval Academy.
No!
You're just chugging right along there, aren't you?
Well, these first waves are not tough.
So what are your plans for the weekend?
Well, I've got 2 more Legos to build, and then I've got to disassemble the old monorail tracks and set up all the bases. I started watching For All Mankind on Apple TV Plus, which I love, and I'm really excited because the next episode is coming out tomorrow, episode 4. I've been playing Pokemon. The new Pokemon comes out next week, and I realize I've never finished the last one, so I just want to get that done because it's like I know I'll never play it again now that there's a slightly newer Pokemon, but I do need those. I do need that old one to be done. So I've been playing a lot of Pokemon. I've been Legoing. It's gonna be a good weekend. I had a whole bunch of work to do at the start of the week, and now it's done, and gonna be a good weekend. Here are those stealth fighters we talked about. They're so easy if you go right in on them.
No!
If you're flying a ferret, there really is no good reason to lock, unless you want that sense of continuity, because you're not going to fire a missile. You're not going to get an ITTS tracker. So unless you're trying to specifically focus on one target over the others, you're fine to not lock. But I do lock because it's what I'm used to. Now there is also the Super Ferret, which is not simulated in Academy for some reason. I guess maybe they didn't catch on, but that does have a pair of missiles slung under it, a couple of heat seekers, and that's introduced in Special Operations 1. It also has, I believe, quote, new control surfaces, according to the dialogue, which is just how I love the kind of lore I love. It means absolutely nothing, but it sounds very exciting. You know, there's no game deficit. They don't have to put whatever these new things are in the game. It's just a description, but it makes you feel like the universe is more real. Reaper cannons on that thing are deadly, on the Wraith. So I'm going to avoid those.
Has anyone out there seen the new Terminator movie?
I really want to. We haven't yet.
You really want to.
I really want to. Okay. Just me.
No, I want to see it. I just don't have a good feeling about it.
Reviews have been pretty good.
Yeah, they look about
Better than the last
50-50. Yeah, the last one was really bad.
You know, our friend Clyde, or my brother Clyde, he was messaging me. I just rewatched Genesis. It's actually really good. I'm like, no. I don't think it is.
I mean, I like Cameron is in it.
Yeah.
Cameron
yeah,
from *Halt and Catch Fire*. I like her. What other movies are coming out? Anything else this year? The Mr. Rogers movie.
Mr. Rogers I want to see, and of course Star Wars.
Yeah.
And my sister Charlotte actually just messaged me and said we had to see Frozen 2.
Frozen 2.
But she's home for Thanksgiving, so.
You know, I liked Frozen. It wasn't bad.
It's fine.
The first time I saw Frozen, we were flying from Baltimore to...
The other two hit each other.
Oh, nice.
Doesn't count as points for me, but gets past that wave.
It was when we were flying back to California after Christmas one year, and I had taken an anxiety pill, and I thought the movie was so amazing, but I think it's just because I was drugged up.
So truly, you did let it go.
It actually comes out the week before Thanksgiving, so we could see it on that weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 'cause she's here all weekend.
Yeah.
It feels like kind of Frozen mania may have died down.
I don't know. I think kids still really like Frozen.
Okay.
Like, I think it's become one of, like, the steadfast...
I could see that, but it just feels like the people who really love Frozen as little kids are now too old. I don't know.
I don't know.
But maybe
I
you're wrong.
feel like I see a lot of, like, Frozen branded merchandise. I think it's just become, like, a steadfast thing. Somebody said she was great in the film. I'm assuming that's Cameron. Why can't I think of her? Mackenzie Davis is her actual name. Yeah, I mean, I'd see it for her, I guess. Well, I'll see it either way. I don't know I don't know what my level of hope for the movie is.
Now I'm fighting 3 broadswords, and they are tough. Oh, that's it for me.
Oh,
Oh,
get the scoreboard ready.
alright. I did better than last time, so why is it defaulted done at all?
I don't know.
29625.
29625.
And you got 17,480.
Should I put Jason's?
Yeah, put his J's
All
score
right.
back. He deserves that. He is 18,450.
Damn it.
But you're really close to beating it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Should I show the board?
Yeah, show the board.
Like, do I assume most of it's in frame?
Well, we'll find out because I'm
Find
going
out
to
in
go.
a second.
Yeah, I'll go back to the small talk so we can. There you go. Yeah,
There we
perfect.
go.
Perfectly framed.
Look at that. All right. So, see what happens next time.
All right. Well, next up on this exciting episode of All Wings Considered, we're going to be playing some Wing Commander 3. When last we left our hero, we were in the Ariel system. We were just jumping to the Ariel system, so we're going to play those 3 missions and continue the story.
Oh, this is your. This is why you made the joke on Twitter about the Ariel system.
Yes. Yes.
I get it now.
Well. So, Ariel System Mission 1. This is CD2. It's the GOG version, so we don't need to care so much about that. If you remember last time, we either saved or abandoned the Black Main base, depending on which one we played through, and now we're starting Act 2 of the game in its 3-act structure. So we're moving into Kilrathi space, There's some whole meta story in the novel that we'll talk about later, but that is not present in the game. And we're taking the battle to the enemy. We're going to fly the longbow for the first time. It's going to be fun. Let's talk to Cobra first.
About time.
I don't recall ever seeing that before. That smile on your face? It looks good.
Oh, I can smell them, sir. Now that we're in their territory, all those Kiorathis waiting to die in my hands.
Well, being on the offensive seems to have brought you out of that shell of yours.
I didn't become a pilot just to babysit bases.
She's right. She's out there. She's right.
It's always very easy to figure out what the right answer is when we Commander 3 choices. We're gonna kick some ass here. But have you ever noticed how 90s the icons are? Especially the head that appears when you're going to talk to somebody. There, talk to Vagabond. It's a head. Super 90s icon.
I was going to note how 90s the lighting was for the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that weird, soft, shadowy 90s lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Don't I get to cut the deck at least?
You'd be surprised how many rookies just ante up and look shocked when they lose their first pot.
Well, they get what they deserve then.
I hear we're going after a garrison.
I haven't been briefed.
It may not seem
This
like
is my
it.
favorite hair that Mark Hamill has ever
My
had.
wheels are
by the
always
way.
turning.
It's funny. I remember thinking Mark Hamill seemed so old here. And
Uh-huh.
now old Mark Hamill is a valuable commodity.
Yeah?
Military installation.
And he's much older than this.
They ain't.
How old was he here?
I like to be real sure.
Gosh, I don't know.
He's worried about nothing.
What year was
We're
this?
just
This was
worried
94.
about nothing. We're just pilots.
Let me do some math.
In this war, everything's military.
I think I actually took the bad answer there, so that shows me.
Sir.
So he was 43 here.
In 43 and 94? Okay.
Yeah?
It's actually older than the character's supposed to be, I believe. Terminal, rec room, nothing exciting there. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe there's a new Angel video. Because last time we had the hollow message, and now he's gonna gaze longingly at the picture, maybe? Again, begging the question, who took these pictures? But if you'd like your own photos of Blair and Angel, we have the source files from the Kiorathi Saga calendar at the CIC. You can get a fancy printout of the 2 photos that he has in his locker.
This is unrelated, but when I opened the calculator in my browser to do the math, apparently typing in 1994-1951 brings this Forrest Gump truck up as results.
What is a Forrest Gump truck?
I guess it's some scale model of a truck from Forrest Gump.
Oh, is it the truck that the bullies chase him
The
in?
1951 Ford F1.
Okay. That's
That-
weird flex for people who license trucks. Although, you know, there's kind of a cottage industry of obscure die-cast vehicles from Tom Hanks movies. Because I remember, like, 10 years ago, Toys R Us had a replica of Tom Hanks' car from Apollo 13 in, like, a little display box. It's like, what a weird license. Just sell a toy sports car. All right, let's get this first briefing in.
Colonel, part of the reason we're in Karathi space is because of your flying. You've done the victory.
This kind of harkens right back to the original Wing Commander, where you do well enough and you go on the offensive. And we're going to hit story very soon. And then the novel kind of subsumes this into story. But in the game itself, it's just you're taking the battle to the Kiorathi, and that's really cool.
And that would mean we'd have to scrap this entire offensive. You need to nail every last one of them, Colonel.
Consider them nailed, sir.
Consider them nailed.
Sir.
God, I love that boy.
There it is! There it is!
So,
Lewd.
these are the mission objectives.
Inappropriate.
Oh, and one last thing.
Alright, let's... Flint's been grousing around. Let's
I want you to be on my wing for this one. Dismissed, and good luck.
This game has a lot of grids in it.
Look, they're going to be the first flight of the longbow. That is an impressive graphic. Remember, you had those 4 Fender Foe missiles? This one has room for 16?
Wow.
So. This is this game's iteration of the broadsword. It has 1 turret in the back, and it's big! And it's on the cover of the box, and I remember everybody was like, oh, it's an X-Wing, they're ripping off Star Wars. And to me, it never felt like that, because I mean, it is an X-shaped wing, but it's a bomber, and a bomber is totally different than a fighter. I've flown X-Wings. I know this is nothing like them, but casual observers have a different feeling, and they're probably right. But this is cool. Look, the scene changes. There's this whole giant staircase you have to go up to get into the side. Fun stuff. And there it is. By the way, we think of all these missions happening in Nebula. This one does not. We'll talk about the formulation of the Caliban Nebula a little bit later in this program. Let's look at that look at that longbow. It's really cool looking. I like the stripes. It's like a giant bumblebee. And unlike the broadsword, it's got afterburners. So let's go blow up some Garathi. And this is like just a nice treat.
Break and attack.
Oh, Straka stealth fighters. This is this game's version of those fighters that would disappear in the last one. We've got a whole enemy convoy here. There's transports, there's a Corvette, and there's Straka stealth fighters. And oh wow, thank you, because those are a pain. As in the last game, Straka have very little armor. So when you can hit them, they'll go fast. I said completely missing that one.
Let's kill Ratty.
You can hear my turret is pounding away. Yeah, Straka's on my tail. I will take the turret to strafe down the side of the ship. A nice tactic for cap ships and a bomber. And by the way, you saw in that first pass, I took out both of the turrets, so it is utterly defenseless at this point. I should have kept watching for another couple seconds, because there goes the transport.
What's your status?
All systems go.
What is that? Oh, it was a missile that had not exploded.
Bogies in sight.
More Strakas! Or are there? There are. They just went invisible. I was just noticing that fleet action actually, you see this maneuvers like the broadsword. It's a slow boy. Fleet action refers to Strakas as simply stealth, so I wonder if it's the Kilrathi word for stealth.
Break and attack.
Taking it to him. One less kill Ratty. One less kill Ratty.
Well, that was easy. Fleet is really cleaning up.
Bogies in sight.
Here's why we have a ship with torpedoes. A full Kilrathi carrier. This is the first time on the winning path where you actually see the carrier.
Break and attack.
Taking it to him.
I don't want to fight the escorts first, but I have to.
What's your status?
Let's go.
I hate the sound of the armor buckling, but isn't it cool? There's all these little immersive details in this game. Centerline guns are nice for aiming once you get used to them. Full style torpedo run here.
Come on, let's kill Ratty.
I know I should have salvo fired the torpedoes. So what's happening out there in folks who watch this show land? Sorry, I'm a little brain dead for commentary live. It's the diet.
Yeah, just like,
Blah.
yeah.
But it's good. I mean, I already have more of a different type of energy, if that makes sense.
This is just the standard first couple weeks.
Yeah.
Come on, let's kill Ratty.
Longbow versus Dorothy, just like the box.
Come on, let's kill Ratty.
Someone asked, do you prefer going after fighters or capital ships?
Oh, something has happened. Sorry, we had a small, windowsing error.
Tiny disaster.
But we're back, everything's fine now. I like attacking capital ships. It's such a reward once you get to take down a capital ship. You feel like you've accomplished something. Hard to get used to where you lead them in a broadsword.
Mission objectives accomplished.
Alright, there we go.
Need clearance, TCS Victory.
Waste every last one of them, sir. That's what I like to see, cats pushing up daisies. You got clearance.
And we are home again. And they push up the giant cart, open the side of the ship.
Pretty slick flying, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
Now, if you like that mission, aren't you going to enjoy that mission but with terrible gamma correction? Just wait.
No, no, partner. All you jocks want to recon work so bad, now you got it, which means us grunts gotta bust our asses for you.
Shot down. By the way, what is that guy doing with a light box in that non-clickable gump there? Save that game. Nobody's at the bar. There's Vaquero.
Let me guess. You're an RV, right?
RV, sir?
Recon version.
Yes,
first time behind enemy lines.
He's a recreational vehicle.
I think you always fight a little harder when you're on your own turf.
Stop worrying, Vaquero. War is hell, buddy.
Just be a jerk.
Stop worrying, Vaquero. Well, enemy lines are just squiggles drawn on a
See,
map,
he's
Vaquero.
the opposite
Don't
of Cobra.
otherwise. Don't worry about it.
Narrative parallels.
Parallels.
By the way, we looked up his guitar on the internet, and it's an actual guitar you can get. It's much older than the one he brags about his family having. It's a couple hundred years old. So. I don't know the model offhand, though. I have to share it.
Fly. At last, we take the battle to the enemy.
Well, a little rocking
Those
and
feet,
rolling
though.
is good for the soul, I guess.
Karathy feet. Or, what is that, Hobbs?
Yeah, it's Hobbs.
That despite the skill and courage demanded in flying, a part of the Karathi spirit is never
little rockin'
entirely
and rollin' is
satisfied
good for
by
the soul?
interstellar
Yeah.
combat.
You like it up close and personal?
We are taught how to use these claws even before we can speak or walk. But this seems savage to you. Primitive.
Killing is killing, hot-blooded or cold. You're one of the best pilots we've got, buddy. Don't start second-guessing what you do.
I've looked up Vaquero's guitar and found your post.
Uh-huh.
It says it's a Gibson SG Junior Cherry from the 1960s.
All right. Cool.
Good job, you, 1 year ago.
Thanks. Look at his keyboard!
Taking it to the cats.
Crazy space keyboards.
Maybe we have a chance in this war after all?
Could be. But I wouldn't make plans for a victory party just yet.
Let's look at like a Star Trek Elcars system.
Let's get down to business, shall we?
Ronz, you were just upstairs.
This is the kind of mission I take special pride in. We're going to play possum. Inside the nebula here. Karathi used it to screen convoys coming in and out of it.
It's a nebula!
We can stay undetected, the more damage we can do. Again, we can't let
Purple
a
grid.
single one of their ships
It's
escape.
the same mission,
Tell you
but
the kind of
pinker.
hazards you'll face trying to navigate in a nebula.
See, this sounds so exciting. It's going to be challenging to fly in the nebula. It's going to be a different environment. But in the end, it's really just bright pink everywhere.
Well, that's not bad.
Well, wait and see. And this is one of the things... One of the things that Space Sims fell into was that there aren't crazy environments like there are with single-player games. See, Cobra, she's into this.
I want you on my wing for this one.
You know, once you start having single-player games with elaborate worlds, you can do anything you want. But in space, all these games were space. It's Doom without the floor. So introducing space weather... Take a long way again. Introducing space weather like a nebula is the way to change things up. You go in wanting that Star Trek 2 chasing the Reliant, lightning and sensors out, and you want that experience, and you don't get it here. But someday, when someone revisits Wing Commander, good nebulas. You can see it's pink everywhere. This is very pink. Your sensors work fine, your guns and everything works fine. Now, when Wing Commander 4, it's just hard to see a little bit. It's what life is normally like for me. Wing Commander 4 tries to rectify this a little bit by adding the jammer missions, which are
break and attack.
They do a little bit more, still just not quite enough in my mind. There's room for cool nebula battles out there.
Yeah, it looks like they put an Instagram filter on it.
It really is, because it's over everything.
Yeah, it's like kind of desaturated and it's like they did something with the shadows or something. AD is here.
Hello, AD! I haven't seen him much this week. It must be a busy week for ADs. We talked about you earlier. We were talking about the card game set you chased down information on. 2 destroyers there. No, destroyer and a oh, this is the Kirathi convoy he was talking about. And again, it's a more realistic than the earlier Wing Commanders, where a convoy is 1 transport and you escort it with a fighter. But you've got light destroyers escorting ships in a convoy. That makes sense to me. And Cobra takes out the destroyer. Why is this happening? No, I don't want to turn this. Sorry, I'm having a small technical difficulty here. So I must be hitting something differently that's making Windows. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm hitting Shift to try and maneuver better in the longbow, and it's activating Windows Smart Key trigger. So stupid Windows.
Angela Tarsus asks if you have any thoughts on the Cotton Candy Nebulas in Free Space 2.
I'm not a fan, but I never got into Free Space. I know it's a great engine. The story never caught me, so I never really got into the game world. That's the other thing I need in a space sim, is I need the world. Another convoy, a transport, and a mess of Dark Cat, and a Corvette. Cobra, why don't you go take out that Corvette? Okay, 4 missiles, 4 Dark Cats. It's gonna happen. It's fun to just be a missile platform in that way. You have 16 fire and forget missiles. Son of a gun.
I hate easy targets.
Wingmen do not prioritize targets well at all. They seem to go after capital ships first, which is fine to a degree, but she should have gone after the Corvette before the transport. Another detail about the longbow that you may notice easily, but it has a control yoke instead of a HOTAS or a single stick, which I always thought was interesting. I always wondered why Wing Commander 3 lets you autopilot when there are still capital ships around. It seemed like an odd choice to me. Especially in a mission like this, where you will lose the mission if you don't take care of these capital ships. Look good. It's almost all red at this point. These Karathi Corvettes in Wing 3 can take such a pounding. They really are the toughest capital ship. There we go. And look, they're still hitting me after after it's destroyed. Pains in the butt.
Enemy sighted, Colonel.
And there's another destroyer and transport. This mission is actually very similar to the one that we're going to read about in the novel a little bit later tonight. In terms of the destroyers and so on.
Break and attack.
Going after.
When I was a kid, or a teenager, I would never want my wingmen to get the kills. I would take wingmen who follow orders, who don't break and attack, and I would just play the mission over and over until I got all the kills. Boy, do I ever not care about that now. The experience of being part of a space war is much more fun to me now. In case I didn't mention earlier, this is the turret of the longbow.
Google Tarsus says, if the longbow and Hellcat swapped main guns, would the Hellcat be a fan favorite?
I don't know. The Hellcats are so bland. I think the Hellcat's biggest problem is basically that the arrow is as good as it and also more maneuverable. So yeah, maybe a Hellcat that punches better would work. It's just not my favorite. Come on, come on. Just out of my range there. You can see the cockpits for the turrets are not as exciting at all as the Wing Commander 2 ones. And that is one thing I will ding Wing Commander 3 for is the lack of the side cockpits. Yeah, you never use them, but they immersed you in the game world, and I think it's a shame to lose that. Bad idea. Oh. Well, let's try that one more time. That was my mistake. I should not have gone for the destroyer and taken all that damage. I will take the blame for that entirely.
Break and attack.
Going after.
I mean, it must be the sensor difficulties in the nebula that are causing these problems.
Frosty is here to do boat facts.
Sorry, no boat facts this week.
Fortunately,
But Jason is at boat school right now, so he's probably going to come back with all sorts of interesting new boat facts that no one knew about.
I don't know any boat facts.
Well, that's surprising because he comes over twice a week. You think you would have picked up some boat facts in there?
I should be retaining this information, and I'm not.
Yeah, of course, you can watch some of our previous shows and learn some of the boat facts from that.
True.
I mean, not advisable.
Were you telling me that? Or
Yeah, I'm telling you that.
Okay. I'm probably not going to do that. I live this every week.
So what are you going to do this weekend?
Me?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not sure what I have planned.
Make some art?
Yeah, I might work on some art. I got a new set of markers last weekend, and I've only used them a little bit, so maybe I'll grab more of those.
You should make the logo for the monorail.
Yeah, if you tell me what you want for the monorail, I can do that.
Can you make like a rubber stamp? Is that a thing you can do?
Yeah, I can do that.
Because I'd like to like stamp everybody's ticket when they come to see it.
Yeah, I mean, let me know like how big you're thinking and what you want on it.
All right.
I mean, it probably can't be too small, but yeah. Or we could make it simple, small and simple. I can do.
Yeah, I would think small and simple would be.
Yeah, we can do that.
You'd think Config could program like targeting reticles into their turrets, but seems to no.
Enemy sighted, Colonel.
Frosty says, as a guy who had never had a PC during this era, it's blowing my mind to see tail guns.
Oh yeah, because you can't switch to the tail gun in the 3DO version. I think that's right. Join me for another episode of 4 Missiles for 4 Dark. Oh yeah.
Breaking attack.
Cobra is good about following orders.
Time to see your bet, kitty.
Does that one even mean anything to them? Do you actually know what a vet is? God, what was the great taunt we found in the 3DO one that's not in the PC? Something about Garfield.
Prepare to die.
Yeah, he calls them Garfield in some way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's not in this version, it's only in the 3DO.
What's your status?
I'm just fine, sir.
Prepare to die.
Hello, Sage Blue.
Hello! Oh, you were talking to Sage Blue. These Darkhead aren't a threat, but they're really tough to nail when you're flying a longbow. I guess I should have gone with a more maneuverable ship on this one. Just wanted to experiment with the longbow because it's new. Alright, let's get rid of this Corvette.
What's your status?
I'm just fine, sir.
Alright, one more nav point. Or at least, this is the nav point we were at last time.
Break and attack.
Going after.
Nice and deliberate. Take our time with these guys. Don't jump right to the capital ships. Or at least just let Cobra do that. And here we are. 2-2.
Yeah, it's cool.
Should show off the card game cards of the CCG, of the Wing 3 ships, because you get a really good look at them there. Next week. And we spawn another wave.
What's your status?
I'm just fine, sir.
I really trust this as a canon question. Why were Vakhtov considered better than Thunderbolts?
Are they considered? I mean, there probably is some lore that says that. I think there's a strong desire to make the ships. I mean, even in the game themselves, the Confed ships are almost always better than the Karathi ones. But there's kind of a desire to make them, you know, one-on-one equivalents in the storytelling aspect of it. And I suspect that's all it is. There's also the odd aspect of, say, the card game, where while the Kilrathi ships have numerical superiority here, in the card game they have to be about equal to have it, since they're playable. So it's more like Armada in terms of the stats. Oh, good, and there's some Darkette too. This mission is a real killer.
What's your status?
I think I can handle it.
So Cobra's not doing so good either. Getting there. Alright, how do we deal with this boy? Kilrathi ships are male, by the way. Kilrathi capital ships, you know, you refer to a Navy ship as she, but Kilrathi ships are gentlemen.
Mission objectives accomplished.
There we go, we did it.
Need clearance, TCS Victory.
Hey, nothing like the sweet smell of success, eh, Colonel? Hey, maybe this stuff should get a new name, like, the Deceptor, or the Trickster. Maybe the Ambush. Yeah, I like the sound of that, the Ambush. Oh, you're clear to land, sir. The Ambush, what do you think?
Rollins. So we got one more aerial system mission. I believe we have to escort the Victory out of here. This is an interesting mission, although it can be over pretty quickly. Also, you could land earlier than the end. I got an attaboy.
Thank you, sir.
Great mission.
Way to go, sir. Outstanding.
Did Rollins run all the way down from the bridge? Because he just cleared me for landing. I gotta get off duty and get down there. Alright, anybody hanging around between missions? Flint! Shout out to Whistler. She winked at him once, apparently.
Hello, Colonel. Good to see you.
You're flying high today.
Well, word is things are looking up for the good guys. You know, when I was growing up, my father taught us about other campaigns, other wars. Weapons
And
keep
there's nothing
changing,
wrong with
but
that.
we still learn from the past.
Yeah.
Take the Trojan Wars. That conflict also lasted generations.
Well, that's the one that ended with the Trojan horse, right?
According to legend, but the important thing is that it did end.
It's good to know conflicts like this don't last forever. It just seems like it.
There's that 90s blue glassware.
I like that glassware.
My parents had like cobalt blue wine glasses in the 90s, like that. That was like a very popular 90s thing.
Just that one Flint video. Let's get our briefing.
Ah, no rest for the weary, Colonel. Let's get to it.
As you wish, Captain.
We're packing our bags, getting the hell out of here, Colonel. Intel has a hunch the Karathi are on to us. Get this old barge out of this nebula and to the
You refer to his own ship as an old barge.
Let's try and keep a low profile. I hate long goodbyes. Go to it, Colonel.
See real Halloween colors on that grid there.
I love the
green,
3D
purple,
grids.
and orange. No, I do too. It's just Halloween.
Oh, and one last thing.
Let's go with Maniac for this one.
Maniac?
Always
Be
entertaining.
my wingman. Don't make me regret it. Dismissed, and good luck.
I always wonder, like in science fiction, what are the monitors up there on top of the main screen for? Like, who would have like 7 little TVs on top of their main TV? Yeah, I'll go for a Thunderbolt now. Let's see how this goes. Speed up the maneuvering during the fighter engagements anyway. Plus it's got that wonderful shark mouth.
That's not a phrase you hear every day.
Well, at the shark mouth energy drink company.
Wonderful Sharkmouth Emporium you do.
Mr. McGuire's wonderful Sharkmouth Emporium. I guess they do sell shark mouths at like those beach shell shops.
Yes, they do. You can usually get like dried like blowfish and stuff there too.
I don't want that either.
No.
Look, we're escorting the Victory itself, so we got this long pan out.
Break and attack.
Watch and learn, Colonel.
Oh, got bombers incoming. It's a lot easier to maneuver. So just like any escort mission, we want to get these things out of the way before they fire torpedoes at the Victory. Which is a thing that can happen. In fact, it may have just happened. Oh, those red ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Weird lumpy red glasses.
Well, that nav point didn't go great. I took way more damage than I should have. I'm used to the longbow and all the extra armor.
It's party time.
Navactots, while a pain, are not as big a torpedo risk, so... And their turrets are not as punishing as the, Pactan turrets. Maniac, you're being very respectful. I picked you because I thought you'd just do this. Another thing I missed from Wing Commander 2 that didn't quite carry over is the bespoke damage to the cockpits. You know, instead we have these like glass effects, and they can happen anywhere. I miss the specifically rendered, oh, there's a panel that flew off, and so on.
More kitty litter. I'm hot today. You better take this from the top monkeys.
From a practical standpoint, you kind of wonder why the Victory, with a fighter wing of 40 fighters. I mean, we've been in the nebula for 2 weeks. You probably lost some, but why are we using two fighters to escort the whole carrier group? It feels like it should be a Magnum launch. And here's a Karathi carrier.
Break and attack.
Watch and learn, Colonel.
Straka escorts. I know those Straka are going to pop out. There they are.
Colonel, there's no time to explain now, but it appears that the Karathi have somehow closed off the jump point.
How the hell can they do that? I mean, that's not possible.
We're heading to what navigation thinks is an alternative jump point. We're downloading those coordinates to you now. Keep your fingers crossed that Nav's found us a door that isn't closed. Meanwhile, keep the enemy off our backs.
So this is really interesting. This is, I think, a first for Wing Commander, where the story continues while you're in the middle of a dogfight. So now the nav point has been cloaked, and the mission changes suddenly. You know, in Wing Commander 2, you would have maybe a cutscene in flight after you've eliminated X number of enemies. But here, you're listening to Rollins and Eisen talk while you are in the mission. Oh no! I'm shocked that I survived that, but pretty cool. The carrier exploded while I was... Well, I fired the torpedo while I was inside it. Just made for a nice bang. But look, all my armor is gone. Now this next nav point, which I believe is the last one, can be a challenge. Because this is, sight unseen, the second and only other appearance of Skipper Missile. That Corvette will fire a Skipper Missile at the Victory. And you don't know it's coming. And it's kind of hard to sight. So we're watching for a yellow reticle or a yellow targeting dot. So I mean, there it is. Okay. Skipper missiles are a pain. Woo! I'm proud of me for that.
Attack my target.
Not possible, Ace.
Well, what are you doing if you're not attacking that thing?
What's your status?
They can't touch
I really want him to take on that Corvette, because it's going to hurt me if I get too close. I already wasted my trophy. Wasn't wasted. By the way, I have a turret here also. One of those nice chunker turrets, like the pack tabs we saw. There we go.
Mission objectives accomplished.
What's your status?
We're sitting pretty, sir.
All right.
Frosty says, I feel like Maniac would be recording stuff for his Instagram story while in combat.
Need clearance, TCS Victory.
That spook you like it does.
I was just thinking that Rollins was like Space Jesse Pinkman.
Whenever they want. I mean, I don't even want to think about it. We're just lucky navigation was on the ball. Nice job, Colonel. You cleared the land.
So this is this weird reveal that the Karathi can close jump points or cloak them or something. I remember this whole series at the time felt very kind of geographically confused. I'll talk about this more in book club, but you don't quite have a picture of what where was that nebula? What is the what is the Ariel system? And if you win, you go to the Caliban system. If you lose, you go to the Blackmane system. And the Caliban is more nebulas. Blackmane is an asteroid field. There's something very weird and oppressive about the start of this act in terms of like the shape of it. But we made it through. Get a cutscene. Another thing I noticed futzing around with the Wing Commander 3 3DO is there is no model for a config cruiser. It's just the destroyer. I don't know why they cut that. There really is no technical reason. But they did not rebuild the config cruiser. Oh, we got a Karathi cutscene. Look at that dreadnought.
Explain to me how, even with their jump point masked, the Terran carrier escaped our grasp.
I have to watch it on your screen if I don't want delay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regrets, my liege. They managed to find another jump point outside the nebula where our masking techniques cannot function.
So it turns out they have a jump point cloak that only works in nebulas? Largely useless.
We learned only after it was too late. The heart of the Tiger was one of the carrier's protectors. The Emperor must not know of the success of this Terran incursion. My thoughts exactly.
Don't tell Granddad.
The Emperor, of course, must stay focused on the larger picture, our ultimate triumph. Which the heart of the Tiger continues to jeopardize. I have waited many years, and now it is time. The trigger. An excellent plan, my liege. Prepare to send the message.
The message. Well, next week we're gonna see what the message is.
Ooh.
But or no, not next week. 2 weeks from now.
Boo.
Because next week we're gonna play the 3DO version. Caliban 1.
Colonel Blair, report to...
Alright, so that is it for Wing Commander 3 for tonight. I promised folks we would play a little bit of Righteous Fire also. So, how are we for time? How are we doing for time?
We are almost 2 hours in.
Maybe we should just go ahead to book club. What do you think?
Yeah, because I feel like book club usually takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, I don't want to keep those guys up anyway. Alright, well, let's go ahead to book club. If you are something.
If you're
a book club person, join the voice chat on Discord. We'll be setting that up in just a moment. Sorry, with dry eye today. I always have dry eye, but
Probably squinting into the studio lights is...
the studio lights and the nebula together, I think. Let's see. We are going to switch to book club. And there I am. Wait for some folks to join. There's Lee Ha, and I'm sure Chris Reed is around. And possibly Jason, although I think he might have had some sort of army boat dinner he was going to tonight.
I was going to depart for book club.
Oh, you didn't do the reading. I knew you didn't do that.
Yeah, why are you acting like you don't know that?
I'm joking.
Rude.
So tonight on Book Club, we're going to be talking about chapters 17 through 19 of the Wing Commander 3 novelization, which are the chapters that correspond with what we just saw. Here is the book itself, Heart of the Tiger novelization by Bill Fortune and Andrew Keefe. I see we've got Chris Reed and Lee Ha now. You guys want to give me a mic check? I'm not hearing you.
Mic check. I'm right here.
All right, I'm hearing Lee Ha well.
I can hear Lee Ha very loud and Loaf very softly.
All right, let me... I can hear you. I can hear you. Let's see. Why would I be so? Oh, let me unmute myself. There we go. Oops. Nope. How about that? Still muted. Why am I muted in Discord? There we go. How's that? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
There we go.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, cool. Someday we'll get that right the first time, but it may be on a third read through of the Wing Commander 3 novelization. So I'll start this off with a quick summary of the chapters. These are the chapters that basically describe the missions we just flew, and I think more than any other chapters of the Wing Commander 3 novelization, they're very, very close to the script. Chapter 17, Victory arrives in the Ariel system, and we learn that they have spent 2 weeks doing survey missions. The added rub in the novel, as is explained a couple times, is that the Victory is there to do recon for the Behemoth. They're supposed to find out if this is a good location to test Admiral Tolwyn's new weapon. But we don't hear about any of that in the game. Chapter 17, we have the novel's versions of all three of those cutscenes with Rachel Cobra and Vagabond. And then towards the end of the chapter, we get this emergency message that Vaquero and Flash, who are out on patrol, have come under attack by a group of Dralthi, and Blair sends 2 wings to respond. And then we end with a Melek and Thrakath scene where we reveal the interesting fact that they don't want to destroy the Victory. They have to let it escape. So something's going on. Chapter 18, we skip the battle. We actually start chapter 18 finding out that the wings, Blair, Hobbs, Maniac, and everybody have gone to rescue Flash and Vaquero, and they've won. They've defeated the Dralthi, and they've come home. Everything is fine, and that is what has prompted the Victory to start its retreat to Caliban, where we're told there's a Confederation base. So we didn't see either of the first 2 missions we played. They just happened in those 2 weeks, and now we're about to retreat as we just did. Eisen also mentions that he suspects that because of the nebula and how the Karathi have their convoys there, it's not going to be good for Tolwyn's test. So we start this escape mission, and this is kind of a subdued mission compared to others with Andrew Keith. We don't cut to the Kilrathi or anything. We just see the action from Blair's perspective. But Blair plans the escape. There are 2 Karathi destroyers blocking the way out, and we have this massive full wing attack against them. One is crippled, and the other is destroyed. The squadron leader of the Longbow Squadron, Major Bertorelli, is killed. But it seems like everything is going well, and then, of course, the jump point's cloaked. End of chapter. Chapter 19, as in the mission we just flew, the Victory is now headed to the Delius jump point. we cut to Thrakath and Melek plotting. We reveal that they're cloaking the jump points rather than they're cloaking the jump points rather than anything else. The Victory's other escorts have already landed when this change has all taken place, so it's just Blair and Gold Squad and their Thunderbolts that are left in space, and they have to contend with another enemy destroyer. And kind of, again, out of character for these novels, they destroy it with guns. They gun down a destroyer, and it's a big thing. And then we end the chapter with Cobra. They all land, and then the scene that we just skipped in our playthrough, Cobra is accusing Hobbs of not telling them about the cloak jump point, and that's the end of the chapter. So that was our walkthrough, and let me go to you guys and see what did you think of these chapters, first off? Chris Reed, I'll go to you first.
Yep. I think I definitely agree with you that it was a very close analog to the book and the game. The scripting is very similar, and that's always kind of interesting when they decide to match that up versus go on their own. I thought they are on the offensive, so that's kind of exciting, and so you do get that, even though they skip over a lot of the action, you do get that kind of. It's a cool element.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned why are they only 2 fighters escorting the Victory out of here?
Yeah.
In the book, it is a full Magnum launch, and they've got the whole party, the whole gang escorting everyone out. So there's some nice things like that, even if they didn't replicate it in the game.
Leha, first thoughts.
I think that these chapters are a perfect reflection of how different Andrew Keith is from Forstchen. He has a really nice, detailed style about, in-flight fighting and going up against capital ships. And one of my favorite parts is actually the opening paragraph of chapter 17, where he just gives you a kind of a sit rep of the entire the situation of there's a Karathi outpost, and this is the type of nebula and so on and so forth, and it gives you a nice situation, and then he can just kind of runs with it, and the whole thing is kind of like the old movie, what would you call it? The old movie plot where there's always somebody watching the clock as they count down to get, how close are they going to get to the deadline type of thing. And it just runs real nicely through those 3 chapters.
Yeah, we start with this great 4-paragraph intro for the chapter where we learn a whole lot about the shape of the Ariel system and the specific nebula they're in, and just the idea that they've been there for 2 weeks it's a pain when you're trying to timeline out Wing Commander 3 day by day, but it's much more appealing because you don't have a sense of time when you're playing the game. Is everything happening one after another? Is there time between missions? So I really like that. But I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you guys was, when you first played the game, what did you think the nebula was? Because I had a very kind of manic sense of this part of the game, because suddenly you're fighting a million Karathi ships at once, and there are hazards in all these areas, but there's never a point where they sit down and tell you, you're in the Caliban Nebula, and it has a big asteroid field, and this is one of the systems in the nebula. That kind of forms much later on, and it's explicitly stated here in the book, but there's nothing in the game that tells you, and I have a couple of pictures here. There is in the next series, there is the map of the Caliban Nebula that you see Flint looking at next series. And then years later, we have the Wing Commander Universe map, which actually breaks out the nebula and tells us it's 22.1 light years across, and it includes Ariel, Caliban, and Delius. But I remember it being very confusing to me in the game itself. And then the novel describes it in a way that contradicts the script. Wing Commander 3's script actually calls Caliban another nebula. There's this like cute log line where it's like, the Victory finds itself jumping to ... another nebula. But the novelization, I guess it takes the names of the systems and assumes they go together. properly, and it matches the later map, but it tells you, I'll quote the part that you were actually just talking about. In the course, Victory entered the Ariel system, traveling by way of a drum point in the Delius Belt, deep in the heart of the Caliban Nebula. And that's everything I was missing in 1994. So I'm wondering if that's just me, or if you guys had a similar learning how the Caliban Nebula works.
Well, I think there's like a snippet in the briefing room where you see kind of the pink blob, and it's on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, you've got no sense of scale. It doesn't look like a 22 light-year blob. It looks like roughly the size of a normal mission. So
yeah.
I kind of thought the Ariel or Caliban or whatever nebula you're in is roughly the size of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, it's just another hazard like a minefield or an asteroid field kind of, and it just persists through a couple of missions, and that was the sense of scale I had in my head.
Yeah, because in the first mission of Ariel, there's no nebula, and the third one, it's just that one mission. So I guess we're supposed to be at the outskirts of the nebula, or something. But it was very confusing to me at the time. And I suppose if you were someone with more background who knows that nebulas are giant, you would realize that they consist of more than one star system and they're not one mission. But the game certainly implies that it's just a little sliver of this system or something. But I like the novels Take much better, and obviously Captain Johnny did, because he used that for the map. But let us see what we have to talk about tonight beyond nebula shape.
It's also important to say that in the book they say that the nebula is multicolored instead of looking like, just a purple.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, it is multicolored on the map. It's blue and purple.
Right. Yeah, I remember vaguely thinking that there was some kind of gamma correction problem with my computer when I first ran into it way back in 1995.
I noticed in the book that there was once again the shock and horror that we might go touch civilians, and this time Vagabond and Blair agreeing that, how could you hate these guys? Boy, I hope we don't shoot the behemoth and hurt anybody.
Yeah,
deserve it.
And you have that conversation in the game, but it's much less pointed. Blair is terrible at operational security, by the way. I mean, obviously everyone on the Victory is, because Vagabond seems to already know what's going on, but Blair's like, well, I can't confirm anything, but if we had a war-winning weapon, guy I just met, what would you think of that? So you can't really imagine somebody on Tinian going up to the B-29 captain and being like, hey, by the way, is that an atomic bomb? Like, oh, yeah, well, I don't mean yeah, I mean maybe. But I certainly aren't going to tell you where we're going with it, which is Hiroshima. Speaking of that conversation, the way that Andrew Keith reinterprets the script dialogue is very odd. Specifically two words that I pulled out from it. One is a line from Vagabond where he says, and even the new chums from Blackmain caught on to me after a few days. Like, is he like a 1930s movie character? Hello, chums! And then Blair goes, when he goes to cut the deck, he doesn't let Blair cut the deck. He's, whoa there, Sharpie! Which, yeah, card sharp, but it really seems like the pen. It's just very odd, like, sudden affectations that the characters have.
You missed my favorite one, which was him and Hobbs walking out of the captain's office and saying, we're burning the midnight electron.
Oh, I have that one pulled out. That's
I was like, oh, that's bad.
I did notice one as well, kind of both at different points. Cobra and Blair flash wolfish grins. It's a very specific type of smile. What are the chances that both of them bust out a wolfish grin a chapter apart?
Maybe that's parallel. They're both killers, and we're supposed to. Yeah, and Forston has more tells like that. He uses a lot of the same adjectives, but Keith falls into it too. That's kind of the joy of Pulp Fiction, though. I caught a nice nod to how the Gumps work in Wing Commander 3, which is when Blair is coming into the command and control, and they're just regular patrols rather than recon missions. And there were only routine patrols out now, no survey missions. So the chamber was manned at minimal levels. Like, oh wow, that's actually like playing Wing Commander 3. There can be a variety of levels of people on the game flow screen.
Yeah, and it's cool that Flint, they which is something, this is the thing that happens where I work. Like, Flint doesn't get to fly. Well, she's got double duty watching the people fly.
Yeah. Which is something you see occasionally in the novels, that the pilots don't just fly and eat. They do other jobs too when they're not flying, and that's the one thing I do really like about the Andrew Keefe stuff is he spends so much time telling you about the operating of a space aircraft carrier. But that is a good catch.
Yeah.
I really like the interaction with Blair and Easton as he's playing the response. Blair is the one in command and control who gets the news about the fighters attacking Vaquero and Flash. And then he has to go to Eisen and say, I'm sending out these wings. And Eisen says, isn't that a big response? And he has to explain it. And it's just, I like that procedural aspect to it. It's something you never see in the game.
Yeah. And it also, it kind of grounds the story. It makes everything seem less space fantasy and more space military.
Yeah, notice in the Vagabond conversation in the game version, Vagabond is like, what's going on, buddy? And Blair's like, I haven't been briefed. In the novel, he has a whole briefing scene. So.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say the only thing, it's such a silly thing to point out, but earlier you had said that it's very hard to tell what takes place over so long a time in either the game or the book. And I wanted to point out that chapter 17 ends with Blair and Hobbs kind of saying, "Oh, don't you remember our old days? How young we were? We were all full of,
we were soldiers then."
Yeah, spit and vinegar and everything. All of our old friends. And then basically the next chapter opens with Blair saying, "I'm tired of this war. I'm tired of the killing, and I'm tired of these kids acting like superheroes."
I like the old killing.
Yeah, it was just such an odd dynamic to go from an extremely nostalgic to an extremely cranky kind of extreme end to that.
Now, whoa there, Sharpie. Yeah. One important aspect to point out about that line is it's kind of an awkward continuity error. The dialogue is sometimes I give everything I've got to be back on the old Tiger's Claw with you and Angel and Paladin and the rest of the old gang. No decisions to make, nothing to worry about but flying. Well, Hobbs wasn't on the Tiger's Claw. This is like your...
actually a lot to worry about on the Claw besides flying.
Yeah, there were some problems.
They got screwed behind enemy lines more than once.
I believe he got beat up by space racists at one point.
That sounds right.
He had to personally save Earth that one time. All that stuff with a Relari. But Hobbs was not on the Tiger's Claw, and this is something you kind of... One of the awkward things that comes up in the novelizations is the authors not really understanding the shape of the games the way fans do. Yes, Hobbs defects in Secret Missions too, but it's not to immediately start flying with Confed. It's so that he... it's years later that... Blair meets him 11 years later, I think, as a pilot. So it's like thinking your old buddy from college was around in high school or something. So I remember that always stuck out. There was something else I wanted to point out about that, though. No, go ahead.
There's another cool procedural part where they jump into Delius,
and
they talk about the Victory's navigator, which is not obviously a character you otherwise think about, but they get
Lisa Morgan.
Jump. Yeah, they do the jump, and then there is a procedure where they have to check, and they check the planets and the asteroid belts and the star charts, and then they say, okay, 99.4% probability that we jumped where we wanted to jump. That's really cool.
Yeah, I like that. Although I wonder, for a person, yeah, that 99.4% sounds like, yeah, that's really sure. But what's that 0.6 variance in the shape of a star system? No, the other thing I was thinking about in terms of the misconstruing Hobbs, it also shows up at the end of the chapter, and that it comes straight from the game, which is you interrupt Hobbs and Cobra fighting over. Cobra's like, you should have known they could cloak the jump points. And he defected, 14 years ago? Like, why would there be any expectation? It raises it from, hey, maybe she has a point, to she's being ridiculous. And your reaction is supposed to be, oh, maybe she has a point. But it's not, because Hobbs has been around for a long time. He's served in the Confederation Navy more time than half his life at this point. He's 28, I think. So yeah, that.
He may be using that to, make sure that he's not tipping his hat or, leading the audience to the obvious plot twist later on. And it kind of does bring it to light maybe a little bit too extremely.
So let's talk about the discussion with Vagabond about the morality of the war. What did you guys think about that? Go around the room. Start with Leha.
I hate to say, I think I was the one holdout the last time we talked about Blair's vaguely pacifistic ways.
Yeah.
And I'm still on board with that. I do have some hesitations about it, and I agree with them. And I think in this conversation doesn't really bring it to light, but we sort of are told why Vagabond has those reservations later on in the book. And I think that because I already know what they are, that kind of it backfills on me.
Actually, do we hear that in the book? I feel like we might just be in the game.
I thought that one discussion was in it. I don't think the mission was. It's been a while though, so I could very well be wrong.
Yeah, I feel like the Severance stuff is not in the book, other than just mentioning that he invented the bomb at some point. I think they cut all of that, but we'll get to that later, I suppose.
I did a quick search. There are two. There are only two references to Dr. Philip Severin in the book. So maybe it's pretty.
I'm also just reading from the book. I didn't scan it. I should have thought of that ahead of time.
But it's another issue where learning the shape of the Ariel system really helps the discussion, because in those first 4 paragraphs you discussed earlier, we do learn that there's one planet and it's just a military outpost, and Blair gets to point that out in the conversation with the Vagabond. In the game, it's much broader. It's, hey, you think war stuff is happening? Yeah, war stuff is happening. But here it's, no, look, we're scouting this single outpost, and we know there's no non-military force here. We're the good guys. That changes the tenor of it.
It also, I think the author also refers to it as a planetlet or something ridiculous?
Yeah, it's a small planet. It's like a Mercury style or something.
Right.
In fact, actually, I have that here. Ariel 1 was never judged worthwhile as a potential colony, but Confederation intelligence sources identified it as a major headquarters for Kilrathi raiders. Where is it? Only one planet of any notable size, though there were many other smaller worldlets, asteroids, and similar junk in the system. So that's stuff like Ceres. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, there's a lot in those first 4 paragraphs. It sets everything up real nice, and
it's exactly what was missing from the game. It's a very good example of the book improving on the game.
Yeah, and I think that Keith may think, for lack of a better word, a little bit more tactically. That's why he put in those details to give it kind of more of a, not flavor, but to kind of ground it a bit, to give you an idea of what they were playing with inside that theater of operations.
Yeah, and he also does a good job of connecting this back to the plot, because in Wing Commander 3 it acts just like Wing Commander 1. There's no necessarily through line to the story. You're defending, you're attacking, and eventually you win. Wing Commander 3, the first 2 acts are still that same idea. We won, so now we're on the offensive. But there's no background about you're going on a recon mission for the behemoth. So Keith does a really good job of kind of lassoing that and tying it to the story of the game in a way that the game doesn't. So Chris, you have any thoughts on the morality of warfare in general as discussed by Blair and Vagabond?
Yeah, it's, I guess he's got more of a case, more of a justification than most, if he does have some history with Dr. Severin and that kind of thing. But it does still strike me as, everyone, like, all they've known is their entire lives, the omnipresent threat of Kilroth coming in and destroying all of humanity, and it seems like there's just shouldn't be a lot of room for sympathy for civilians at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, and I do agree. I think it's a little bit more. It's the discussion you have 30 years after the war rather than the one the characters seem like they should be having. Oh, here, I've got the Electron line pulled out here, too, and I wrote the word Snickers next to it. So.
Oh, thank you.
Come on, Hobbs. Look like we burned the midnight electrons. Because they don't have oil in the future. That's like something in the first draft of like a Star Trek spec script, where it's somebody who has no idea what science fiction is trying to write space dialogue.
Yeah, it specifically sounds like the first couple of TNG novels. They had people from the original series writing them, and it just doesn't strike the right tone.
Or it's kind of like the TNG novel written by our friend Bill Forstchen, which I think it's book 57 of the Next Generation line. It's Forgotten War or Forever War. It's Forgotten War, maybe. But it's the crew of the Next Generation Enterprise arriving on this planet that... The planet has the old Star Trek thing of a Federation ship crashed there once, and the people on the planet took the technology, took the history stuff from the ship. And so they're fighting World War II with Mustangs and Messerschmitts and so on that they've copied from the Federation databanks. And of course, suddenly Riker and Picard are World War II they immediately morph into Bill Forstchen's war history. Yeah, like, I love the Second World War. Okay, it's very much like that, taking the characters. But the other thing about the shape of the systems that I forgot to mention earlier, the game has them different. It says they're different nebulas, or implies they're different nebulas. The script certainly says they're different. The game just doesn't tell you. But they're both characters from the Tempest. It really seems like they should be connected. Caliban and Ariel. Keith puts them together, and that makes sense, but it's just odd that the game doesn't.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. That didn't occur to me until just now. You're absolutely right.
Shakespeare's adaptation of Forbidden Planet.
Oh,
which is on Netflix right now.
Oh, God. It's
one
of the best sci-fi movies ever made.
It's fantastic. That's definitely going to watch that this weekend. Let's talk about Kilrathi Honor, because we have this discussion with Hobbs, and he addresses Thrakath. Blair kind of plays the player. Like, well, you guys are so honorable about your combat. Why are you such dicks? And says, Thrakath, that one defies honor in his own way, I fear, Raga said slowly. When he looks at humans, he only sees animals fit for labor or food or prey in a hunt. It's not an attitude that's held by all of my kind, but it is a convenient excuse, a convenient way to excuse acts that would otherwise defile Kilrathi honor. Does not your kind hide behind any number of similar conveniences to justify acts you would otherwise condemn? And, gosh, we see that in politics every day right now.
Wow, yeah, that doesn't sound similar at all. I think that whole exchange is also dovetails nicely into Melek's own internal monologue about the Crown Prince.
Oh, I pulled that one out to talk about too. I can quote it now if I want, especially because it has an interesting Kilrathi word that.
Right, happy you brought that up because I can't pronounce it first.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
But discussing Melek in general, interesting. It's strange how this particular paragraph becomes so important for Wing Commander fans, because while Melek becomes the leader of the Kilrathi Empire, Chancellor of the former Empire, we know nothing about him other than that he's the guy in Wing Commander 3 who sits next to Thrakath. Is this the paper boy or the intern who's taking charge? Is he Thrakath's cousin? We just never told. But his bit here is Melek began to wish he had never accepted the post as Thrakath's Chi. As senior vassal and retainer to the Crown Prince, he wielded great power and commanded much influence, and was perfectly placed to watch the imperial family in the interests of his own clan. So he's not from the Karanka clan? Question mark? But it was a precarious perch at best, given the prince's temper, and sometimes it was difficult to restrain himself from voicing the doubts he could not put aside. So he's kind of becoming a Fortune Kilrathi there.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
There's some shades of Jukaga in some of his worries, and it's also interesting because this is, aside from Jukaga, I don't know if this is this first second Kilrathi character we actually get some inner monologue from. It's not just
why all those pilots are there in this novel.
That's true. Those seemed a little bit more, for lack of a better word, disposable.
Yeah, totally.
They kind of just,
And I don't know if it really has any meaning, but in the card game, is not Melek? Isn't he called Baron Melek?
He's Baron Melek, yeah.
So is he a baron? Does he have any sort of nobility from some other clan?
Yeah, maybe he's Baron from some clan.
So yeah, maybe he is some Jukaga level. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe he's even Baron of the Kyra clan. Who knows?
Yeah.
And you actually see that in Wing Commander 3, because he is playing Thrakath and the Emperor against each other, and you do see it where he's kind of that little shit background character occasionally.
Yeah, he does his maneuvering quietly.
So my biggest issue with the Hobbs honor conversation is I feel like it way too assumes these are furry Klingons. It's nice, but it does take them in a little bit further in the furry Klingon direction than other Wing Commander stuff does. Fleet Action says, oh, yeah, Kilrathi have a sense of honor, but it's different than what humans consider honor. And here it's Ralga saying, no, we have the same kind of honor as you, and we just break the rules sometimes. He's just being Thrakath. Let's see. We noted the... Cobra is mad about the jump point, and Hobbs defected before the Kilrathi introduced cloaked fighters. Why would he know?
Well, it's easy to paint with broad brushes.
I also like the reveal that Delius and Caliban are apparently both inhabited by Confed. When we look at the Delius system in X number of weeks, we're going to see the secret Kilrathi base you have to destroy. But here we have them saying, at the end of the chapter 19, they're contacting Delius Station and the local defense force to let them know the victory has arrived, which is going to be a really fun one to talk about next week, or next club. What happens to Delius Station in the local? Yeah.
I'm looking through the book real quick just to see.
No.
Just ran into that wolfish smile line again. It should be obvious, but it seems like Maniac replies to Blair's orders a little bit better in the book than he does in the game. I can't imagine if that's because of Tom Wilson being who he is, or...
Actually, interesting one that you touch on there that I did want to talk about. There's a point in the combat, I think it's after they destroy the destroyer, or no, it's after Blair tells the pilots his plans, and Maniac is like, maybe you are okay. He calls him Maverick Blair. And when we read this now, it was mentioned earlier in the book, and I think we didn't even bring it up, but when we read this now, it's like, yeah, that's what his nickname is, Maverick. it wasn't then. This was the first time that Blair was given a call sign, or seemingly was given a call sign. And I remember having big debates about this. You know, he's 100% Maverick in the animated series 2 years later, but there was nothing at this time that was making him be Maverick other than the general fan knowledge that Chris Roberts' call sign was Maverick. So I thought that was really interesting that, you know, this spawned people calling him Maverick in the fan community, which then let Origin call him that more, and so on. But like I remember in Prophecy, people being excited because that was his call sign listed on his targeting VDU. You know, it wasn't just a given that he was Maverick. I mean, it's really not until the Wing Commander movie that that's kind of a universal thing, which is interesting. It was never part of the character. Wasn't this part of the character as created, and it comes from right here. This is what kind of allowed it.
It also comes from a certain Tony Scott movie, which I don't need to reference. I remember that being a point of contention at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why I would say they absolutely avoided it in many, many cases. It's interesting where they do bring it up and where they don't. Because, you know, yeah, we have Maverick and we have Iceman and...
Yeah. All you need is the goose, and I mean...
But I assume that what Keith did was he read the series Bible, and that calls him Maverick somewhere, so it became canon here, and it just spirals from these tiny little references in the book.
Yeah, they retro put it in Kilrathi Saga as a default.
Yeah, it's the default call sign. That was never a thing before that. And even the other games that have to have spoken dialogue, he's Hotshot in the he's Hotshot. I guess they call him Maverick in Super Wing Commander, but it's not Blair. It's Armstrong. It's Maverick Armstrong. So it was always maybe that's not his call sign. I remember old discussions about this in the forums. I was always a Maverick guy. I didn't care that it was Top Gun. If you have
I think I had seen Top Gun by this point.
You got to steal from Top Gun the names rather than the naked volleyball. Let's see. Did I have anything else I wanted to pull out from this one? It's a nice chunk of chapters, but it's also very literal for the most part. And and it very much follows the game.
It's very literal, and it's very action-oriented. There's not a great deal of things to pontificate about.
Yeah, and when they are, there are things that we've kind of been going on about already. It's very much the middle of the story. Yeah. Start of Act 2, not that exciting. So yeah, I guess let's go around and do our final thoughts on this one. Start with Chris Reed.
There we go.
Well, maybe not so much book related, but it was lovely to see you fly the longbow today.
No, thank you. It was good to fly it again.
That's a fun diversion, and it does have echoes of the broadsword and things like that.
You forget how much of a reward it is to get the longbow, because once you have it, you kind of backtrack it, so it's been there the whole time. But when you're playing Wing Commander 3 for the first time, it's very much a reward, and it's a fun change.
Big missile boat, you know.
Conveniently, right when you have to go up against two carriers.
Yeah, and I don't know. I always kind of miss a little bit of that when the way that the book chooses its fighters. But
it's all Thunderbolts all the time. By the way, I thought the battle with... I totally didn't forget to talk about the battle in this, but it's a great novelized space battle with fighting the three destroyers and these longbows doing their torpedo runs and the commander getting blown up and the other just getting revenge. It's well described and it's very pleasant.
And I also like the fact that what really kind of the thing that they're running against in the battle isn't just the Kilrathi, but it's also the wearing down of their ships. It's like, they're looking at fuel, they're looking at minor damage, and as the chapters go on, they start to accrue more and more of it, and you can tell they're getting tired, and it's a nice little detail.
Oh,
yeah,
you know,
the Ariel system it's like a story within a story almost. It's a good couple of chapters.
I'd actually pulled out a line. Let me find it. That I loved for exactly that, detailing more of the tech, which was when Vaquero is landing on the Victory and Blair is watching. As he waved off the Victory flight deck 3 times before finally catching the tractors and making a successful touchdown. Finally, here's a point where we're connecting the ACLS tractor beam stuff to the actual carriers catching the, needing to catch something with an arrestor hook. It's because Wing Commander and it's game versus fiction versus whatever always kind of mixes up. Oh, carrier landings are deadly serious and you have to be the best pilot in the universe versus, yeah, you press A and you float down. So this is a nice tie-in where, yes, there is ACLS, but there's a skill aspect to catching. So I like that. All right, other final thoughts? From Leha.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, like Chris said, this is a nice little window into what Wing Commander is, especially in the sense of it's a running series of missions. They're all interconnected, and Andrew Keith does a really nice job of explaining the tactics behind the logic.
Yeah.
It's not just rush out there, kill that destroyer, and come home. He talks. There's actually one part where Blair gives orders and he gives a 3-dimensional, go to 365.801 or whatever, and he's describing, you go this way, you go that way to lead them off, and the victory's going to come through. And he really gives it a good. There's a logic to it. It's not just
Yeah.
go out there and get the guys.
Yeah, just the idea that the Wing Commander's job involves thinking is really something you don't see in the game.
That's very, very, very good way to put it. I was kind of there.
All right, well, next time we're headed to the Delia system. So in 2 weeks we will discuss those missions. Should be very interesting. It's him making the losing choice, even though, as far as the game is concerned, they won these missions, but they're going to the losing series. So we'll play that on the show, and then we'll show it off here. But thank you guys for joining us, and see you next time.
Hope to see you guys here.
See ya.
See you in IRC in a second, or whatever it's called now, Discord. Brain no work today. And with that, hello! It's me again. I'm still Ben. That's it for our show today. Hope you all enjoyed seeing a little bit of Wing Commander 3. I'm sorry we did not get to Righteous Fire, but it felt like we should get to that book club. And so we did. And in honor of our nebula missions, I have drawn a longbow in a nebula. High tech. Sign the logbook. And be sure to join us next week. We will be playing the 3DO version of those missions, and we'll get back to Righteous Fire, I promise. And we'll have some other stuff to talk about, too, because I got a big WCPD reveal coming. So, until next time, stay... See you next time.
I guess it just goes to show you that things can look a little odd when you add that super prefix. Even stranger than Super Wing Commander is the Super Guppy, a massive airplane made especially to transport space equipment. The Super Guppy looks like nothing so much as a regular airliner with an enormous forehead. It was first developed in the 1960s to help NASA transport lunar landers and other exploration vehicles from their factories to launch sites, and variants are used for this purpose today. In 2016, a modern Super Guppy carried the first prototype of the Mars Orion spacecraft to prepare for its test mission in Florida. See you on the next exciting episode of All Wings Considered.